Inside every small jar of instant coffee lies a story that begins thousands of miles away in lush green fields where coffee cherries ripen under the sun. Workers hand-pick the cherries, selecting only the ripe red ones, because quality at this stage will determine the entire flavor profile that eventually reaches consumers. These cherries are pulped to remove the outer skin, fermented to break down sticky mucilage, and then washed carefully before being dried in the open air. Once dried, the beans, now called green coffee beans, are sorted, bagged, and shipped to factories around the world where the transformation into instant coffee begins. In the factory, the first step is roasting. Just like with traditional coffee, green beans need to be roasted to develop their aroma and flavor. Giant rotating drums roast tons of beans at carefully controlled temperatures, anywhere between 180 and 240 degrees Celsius. This stage is incredibly important because roasting doesn't just give coffee its familiar color and aroma, it triggers chemical reactions inside the beans that release hundreds of compounds responsible for flavor. The balance of time and heat is carefully monitored by skilled technicians, because over-roasting can make the coffee bitter, while under-roasting leaves it flat and weak. Once roasted, the beans are cooled and sent to large industrial grinders. Here, they are ground to a consistent particle size suitable for brewing at scale. The ground coffee is then transferred into enormous extraction columns, tall stainless steel vessels where hot water under pressure extracts the soluble compounds. Unlike brewing a cup at home, these industrial extractors use precise temperature and pressure control to maximize yield. The result is a concentrated liquid coffee extract, dark, aromatic, and filled with the essence of roasted beans. This extract cannot yet be turned directly into instant coffee. It contains too much water and needs to be processed further to preserve both its flavor and shelf life. The next stage is concentration, where the extract is gently evaporated under reduced pressure to thicken it while protecting volatile flavor compounds from escaping. By carefully lowering the temperature during evaporation, the factory ensures that the natural aroma remains intact. The concentrated liquid now resembles a syrup, rich in coffee oils and soluble solids. From here, the magic of instant coffee production truly begins. There are two main methods to turn the concentrated extract into granules: spray drying and freeze drying. Spray drying is the older and more economical method. In this process, the thick coffee extract is pumped into a tall drying tower where it is sprayed through nozzles, breaking it into a fine mist. As the droplets fall, they encounter hot air, which instantly evaporates the water and leaves behind fine coffee powder. The powder settles at the base of the tower, ready to be collected. This method is fast and efficient, but sometimes sacrifices a bit of aroma because the high heat can affect delicate compounds. Freeze drying, on the other hand, is more complex but produces higher quality instant coffee. In this method, the concentrated coffee extract is chilled to extremely low temperatures, turning it into a frozen block. That block is then broken into small pieces and placed in a vacuum chamber where sublimation occurs. The ice inside turns directly into vapor without passing through the liquid stage. Because this process happens at very low temperatures, it preserves much more of the original aroma and flavor, resulting in a premium product. The outcome is the familiar golden brown granules that dissolve instantly in hot water. Once dried, whether by spray or freeze methods, the coffee granules are not yet ready for packaging. Factories often add back-captured aromas that were preserved earlier in the process. During concentration and drying, volatile compounds are collected using specialized equipment and later reintroduced into the granules to boost flavor. This step ensures that when a consumer opens a jar of instant coffee, they are greeted with the same rich smell they'd expect from freshly brewed coffee. The granules then pass through sieves to ensure uniform size and texture. Oversized chunks are broken down, and overly fine dust is filtered out. The goal is to produce even, consistent particles that dissolve smoothly in hot water without clumping. After this, the instant coffee is sent along conveyor belts into automated packaging lines. Depending on the brand, it may be filled into glass jars, plastic containers, or sealed foil sachets for single servings. Every package is flushed with inert gas, usually nitrogen, to prevent oxidation and keep the coffee fresh during storage and transport. Quality control plays a critical role throughout the process. Samples are continuously taken at every stage, from roasting to packaging. Expert tasters, called cuppers, evaluate the aroma, taste, and mouthfeel of the product to ensure consistency. Laboratories also test for moisture content, solubility, and microbiological safety. Only batches that meet strict standards are released for sale. Behind this seamless process lies decades of technological innovation. The first instant coffee was created in the early 20th century, and since then, improvements in drying, concentration, and flavor retention have turned it into a reliable household staple. Today, factories can produce thousands of tons of instant coffee each year, shipping it across the globe to meet demand in every corner of the world. The journey from green coffee beans in distant farms to the soluble granules in a morning cup highlights the marriage of tradition and science. Farmers nurture the raw product, and engineers design sophisticated machinery to preserve flavor through intense industrial processes. Yet despite its scale, the goal remains simple: to deliver the convenience of coffee without the time and tools needed for brewing. Instant coffee has become an integral part of modern life. For students rushing to study, office workers starting their day, or travelers carrying sachets on the go, it represents a reliable source of comfort and energy. Factories not only focus on efficiency, but also sustainability, with many investing in recycling energy, from roasting, reducing water consumption, and sourcing beans through fair trade initiatives to support farmers. The entire process, from harvesting to packaging, demonstrates how something so seemingly simple, just a spoonful of powder dissolved in hot water, actually embodies an intricate system of agriculture, chemistry, engineering, and human skill. When a person stirs their mug and watches the granules disappear into steaming water, they are experiencing the end result of a journey that crossed continents and involved countless hands. As instant coffee continues to evolve, companies are experimenting with new methods to capture even more of the authentic flavor of freshly brewed coffee. Advances in aroma recovery, improvements in freeze-drying efficiency, and sustainable sourcing practices all point toward a future where convenience and quality coexist without compromise. What remains constant, however, is the universal ritual: a warm cup that brings people comfort, conversation, and clarity at any moment of the day. This is how instant coffee is made in a factory, and why every jar represents not just a product, but a connection between distant farms, advanced technology, and the simple human desire to savor the taste of coffee wherever and whenever it's needed. Every stage of instant coffee production tells a hidden story that most consumers never see. Take roasting, for example. To the average coffee drinker, roasting might seem like nothing more than turning beans brown, but in reality, it is one of the most scientifically delicate steps in the chain. Inside the roasting drums, chemical reactions known as the Maillard reaction and caramelization transform sugars and amino acids into hundreds of aromatic compounds. The fragrance that escapes when roasted beans are cracked open contains notes of chocolate, caramel, nuts, or even floral tones, depending on the origin of the bean and the precision of the roast. Factories rely on computer-controlled systems to monitor airflow, temperature, and timing down to the second. The slightest deviation can result in an imbalance, which in turn will affect every cup brewed from the final instant product. The grinding stage carries its own complexities. Unlike the coarse grind used for a French press or the fine grind for espresso, industrial grinding requires uniformity at a scale few can imagine. Machines operate with hardened steel burrs that pulverize tons of roasted beans per hour. The particle size must be controlled because if the grind is too fine, over-extraction can occur, making the final powder bitter. If it is too coarse, the extract will be weak and watery. In factories, sensors continuously measure the grind size distribution to ensure perfect consistency. Every tiny particle has to behave the same way when it meets hot water under pressure in the extraction columns. Extraction itself could almost be compared to brewing an enormous, highly technical cup of coffee. Imagine a column as tall as a 2-story building filled with thousands of kilograms of ground beans. Hot water is pumped in at precise pressures, often moving in multiple stages, countercurrent to maximize efficiency. The liquid that emerges at the other end is far more concentrated than anything a consumer could brew at home. It is dark, syrupy, and highly aromatic. But this liquid is fragile. It is prone to losing aroma compounds if left exposed, so factories design closed systems where the extract moves seamlessly from one step to the next without touching the open air. Concentration and aroma recovery often work hand in hand. As the extract passes through evaporators under vacuum, water content is reduced, thickening the coffee. But evaporating water also risks driving away delicate volatiles, the very aromas that give coffee its character. Engineers have devised systems that capture these vapors, condense them separately, and store them in chilled containers. Later, once the drying process is complete, these aromas are reincorporated, almost like giving the coffee back its soul. This is one of the quiet miracles of food engineering, ensuring that when a jar of instant coffee is opened, the smell resembles a freshly brewed pot rather than a flat, lifeless powder. Instant coffee has also found unexpected roles beyond the kitchen. It is widely used in baking, confectionery, and even skincare products. Bakers use it to add deep coffee flavor to cakes without excess liquid, while chocolate makers blend it into truffles for richness. In cosmetics, its antioxidant properties are valued in scrubs and creams. This versatility ensures demand across industries, further fueling the scale of factory operations. The human connection to instant coffee runs deep. For students staying up late to prepare for exams, a quick cup provides energy and focus. For travelers in remote regions, sachets guarantee a taste of home. For busy parents, it represents a reliable companion in chaotic mornings. Each of these moments traces back to the sophisticated processes in factories, where countless moving parts come together to create something that dissolves effortlessly into hot water but carries with it decades of refinement. And yet, instant coffee remains a subject of debate among purists. Some argue that it can never match the complexity of freshly brewed beans ground on demand. But others appreciate its practicality and the innovations that have made it better than ever before. What cannot be denied is its enduring relevance. From bustling urban centers to isolated rural areas, instant coffee connects people to the global coffee culture with unmatched accessibility. When viewed through the lens of its production, the humble spoonful of powder becomes extraordinary. It embodies the skill of farmers who cultivate the cherries, the science of chemists who preserve volatile compounds, the precision of engineers who design machinery, and the commitment of tasters who safeguard quality. Each jar is both a scientific achievement and a cultural artifact, carrying within it the flavors of distant lands. This is why instant coffee deserves recognition not just as a convenience product, but as a marvel of human ingenuity. Behind its simplicity lies one of the most complex value chains in the food industry. Every detail, from the soil where coffee trees grow to the final seal on a jar, shapes the taste that greets a consumer each morning. The factories that make it possible represent the intersection of tradition, technology, and global commerce. And so, the next time someone stirs granules into hot water and watches them vanish, they can remember that this ordinary act is supported by extraordinary processes. It is not just coffee in a cup. It is the culmination of countless hours of work, experimentation, and dedication spread across the world. That is how instant coffee is made in a factory, and why every sip is more than just a drink. It is a story of global collaboration, science, and the timeless human desire for warmth and energy in a cup. If you enjoyed learning about this journey, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next deep dive into how everyday things are created. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and family, because sometimes the most ordinary products carry the most extraordinary stories.